Well, good evening, everybody.
What up? What up? What up?
Hi.
What's up, Gourd?
Not much. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm doing good. How about you, Mando?
Doing good. Just chilling, hanging out, talking about good movies instead of the one that recently came out. Because while people have said, "Hey, review it, Mando," I don't want to review it. I don't want to watch it. I don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole.
Me neither. Me neither.
I mean, what
I
we're actually going to be
just,
talking about is an actual good woman character.
oh yeah, multiple.
Quite like a few. A few.
Who knew that that's a thing that could happen?
I'll
Exactly.
take 3 or 4 women from this movie over, the 3 or 4 that we got recently. I mean, granted, look,
Yes.
I haven't seen the Marvels, okay? I'm jumping on the bandwagon. I have no idea
the
how good or
objective
bad it is.
numbers speak for
Yeah, I've
themselves.
seen the numbers and they are you can count to them.
Mhm.
So they're not so good.
Yeah.
They're not
Yeah.
so good. They're rather funny.
Yeah. They are. They are. Sup, Emperor Doomsday. What's up?
What's up, Emperor Doomsday?
Hello, Emperor.
So this movie. This. Wow. I mean, wow.
It's
Yeah.
incredible. It's a movie that is deserving of the label masterpiece.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Spoiler,
Yeah.
everyone. It's great.
So when did you first see this, Gord?
I saw this near the beginning of a time in around 2020 where everyone decided it would be really cool to just stay indoors for a very long time for some reason. I can't remember what. But yeah, I was aware of this movie. I was aware of aspects of its reputation. I knew a line or two from it that was quotable, and I don't even remember what platform I watched it on, perhaps maybe Netflix or something like that. I didn't own it at the time, but I watched it and I was genuinely blown away by how great it was. Just absolutely blown away, and turned around and bought the Criterion Collection version probably within the next few days after that.
Nice, nice. And Mando, how about you?
This I will have to say is I'm gonna say officially it's my first time actually watching it, even though I feel like at one point in time or another I've seen maybe segments, clips, or in passing view of this movie. But I'm gonna say this was my first actual sit down sitting and watching it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm kind of in the middle. I watched it a while ago, a long time ago. Didn't really get much out of it, but yeah, rewatching it, it's just wow. I mean, it blows your mind, and there's so much what subcontext to what they're saying. It's amazing. It's just incredible how much they say with saying polite few words. It's great.
It's amazing how effortlessly, that's one of the hardest words for me to say. Ironic. Um, it's one of the most effortlessly excellent screenplays I have ever heard. I mean, every line of dialogue, it seems, is just pitch perfect. Whether we're talking just related to the characters or just how smart and sharp and snappy it is, it's just it is a feast to the ears. It is so good.
Oh, it is. It is.
It's what entertainment is supposed to be.
Mhm.
Right, right.
I mean, my gosh, remember I was telling Jacob, I was talking to Jacob about this earlier before we started that that year we got this movie, we got Sunset Boulevard, we got one of my favorites, Harvey, and as great as like this and Sunset Boulevard are, particularly they're known for the performances of the lead actresses. Neither one of them won Best Actress or even Best Supporting Actress. That's how high the bar used to be. This is it's like Betty Davis's performance is absolutely iconic, uh, and yet she didn't win. I'm blanking on the name of the woman in Sunset Boulevard. Her performance, absolutely iconic. Not even she won. It's like there used to be a huge standard for what was considered a great performance,
Yep.
or what movie was considered
Yeah.
great. Granted, this did win Best Picture, which it deserved it.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
gosh,
It
getting
it
this
just
and
goes
Sunset Boulevard in the same year, what you don't often get years like that.
it goes to
No, you
show
don't.
that doesn't matter what year something came out. If it's good, it's good. Timeless is the it is timelessly good.
Mhm. Like, this like, there
Right.
are older movies that in ways age. This one doesn't. This one even stylistically holds up well. Like, there's because in Halloween, we were doing all the Universal monster movies. There's a lot of stuff about those movies that doesn't hold up. It's a lot.
Mhm.
They're still fun to watch, but you're kind of watching them through the prism of limitation. You know that there's certain things they couldn't accomplish back then. Watching this, you will rarely find anything that is held back by limitation. You're just like, "Nope, this is just a phenomenal movie, top to bottom."
Yes, definitely. And the cast too of this movie is top notch. I mean, we even have a young Marilyn Monroe in it.
Mhm.
I know.
I
She's I
mean,
mean, it's like I don't mean to sound any particular way, but she's a gorgeous woman, and you see her kind of playing almost a real version of herself at the time, and you're just like, "Ugh." There because there's a bit of tragic element to her character, and when compare that to real life, it's like, "Oh, wow. Look at how life and art imitated one another. Isn't that interesting?"
Right.
But she's still quite I mean, she's incredibly beautiful.
yeah.
Dempsey,
So
R2,
What's up,
and of course,
R2?
cannoli.
And he makes a valid statement.
yes,
I
yes,
disagree. If it were made today, it would be made by Netflix, and it would be called All About Weave. And you can make any, you know, connections to that you wish.
so
Amen.
yeah, let's get into this.
Let's do it.
Where am I here? There we go. Okay. So yeah, they get right into it. So it starts out at a award ceremony for like this is almost like the Academy Awards for stage acting. There's Betty Davis. Yes, this is just like an opening monologue, talk or introducing some of the characters, and
Well, and it's a great. It's funny because watching this the second time was so interesting, knowing what happens ultimately. Because the first time you're watching this, you're like, okay, they're setting up, you know, this character, and everyone else. It's just you're looking at their expressions, and they're so dour and angry, or in hurt. This is a sad look, and it's like, what has happened between these people? It's.
yeah,
And granted, it's one of those scenes that the first time you watch it, it's almost easy to forget with what comes after until you come back to it. But watching it the second time, I was like, "Ooh, this is well staged. This is so good."
yeah. Kind of having some issues here. Just give me a second. Don't worry, I won't be kicked off. It's nothing like that.
I tell you, this
Them
woman,
raccoons.
she reminded me a lot, at least in terms of her appearance, of Virginia Madsen. She looks a lot like her, which I don't
Yeah.
know if you all know her off the top
Virginia
of your.
Madsen.
She was in movies like Candyman. She's the main woman in that.
Okay.
Trying to think of what else she might be in. I mean, she's actually a really good actress. But yeah, she looks a lot like she was in Sideways, um, Haunting in Connecticut. I think she was in The Prophecy back in '95. But yeah, she's a good actress.
Yeah.
Yeah, this woman looks a lot like her.
Sorry.
And that's it. That's the movie, everyone. Good night.
Yeah. Good night.
Yes.
Have a good one, everybody.
We did it.
We did it.
I mean, just from that opening by itself, like the acting is, you can already tell, like just with the emotion that they convey through the black and white screen, like
Yeah,
actors had to
because
do a
because
lot
everything else is
more.
just the rest of it's just the narration by
Mhm.
it's a George Sanders character, DeWitt, who, by the way, I was telling Jacob this earlier. He sounds dead up like Alan Rickman. His look is close enough to him to where if this had been remade some year, not too long ago, this would have been the kind of part you immediately put Alan Rickman in. He would have been
Mhm.
perfect for this.
Yeah.
But
And there he is right there.
I was so it almost, like, when I found out that he won an Oscar for this role, and I was a big Alan Rickman fan. It almost kind of felt like Alan Rickman had won because he's channeling him in so many ways without, I mean, granted, not really channeling him because this was well before, but it felt that way.
Mhm.
But he's he's probably my favorite character in the movie. I mean, but he's an awful person, but he knows he's awful.
Yes. Yes.
He's the most
Like,
self-aware
I'm
person
awful.
in
I
the
don't
film.
care. He's like, I'm awful. I don't care.
Right? It's just like it's one of those, like, he didn't give two inklings about
Whatchamacallit?
anything else. Like, yes, I know I'm the villain, and I
And
love to be the
of
villain.
course, the villain trope of having the cigarette holder.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah,
my show quite
yes,
well.
I must hold my cigarette.
Yes,
It's
you must
plastic.
hold your cigarettes with like a 10-yard stick.
And then you have her. She is the playwright's wife, Karen. She's named Karen, but that's not a bad thing in this movie.
No,
Back
no,
in that
she's not.
time, that was not the trope.
Her name is
I-
Karen, but she's not the Karen of the show.
No.
Where
No,
did
she's
that
not.
come from? I'm trying to remember, like, when the "Oh, you're a Karen" started happening.
I think it started from a viral video. I don't even know if the actual woman's name was Karen, but I know it started with a video and then the label got applied to it somehow or other. It might have been the actual woman's name, I don't know, but I mean, it kind of worked. Of course, then they made, I don't know if y'all ever saw that movie they made called Karen. I recommend it. It's a funny piece of watching. It's terrible, but it's
Now
funny.
this
It's
guy
not
is
trying to be, but holy
yeah.
cow.
This guy is kind of like the I don't know if he's the owner of the
He's a
playhouse
producer.
or
He's a
he's a
producer.
producer. Okay, so he
I love his
he's the money
I
man.
have
He's
a
the money man.
I have a stank face, and that's how you know I'm
Oh.
rich, is because I have the
Yeah,
stank
this
face.
is Max Fabian.
Yeah.
That's,
he's
well,
like,
I
"Oh."
mean, the actor is Gregory Ratoff, but yeah, the
He's
character
got
is Max Fabian, and he is a producer.
he's got chronic indigestion, so he's taking some bicarbonate of soda. Hey there, John. What's up?
What's up?
Greetings. But yeah,
So
he's fun.
typical producer. They probably has a lot of stresses on him, so he's got
Probably
Well,
has
I think
ulcers.
DeWitt in the narration,
Yeah.
he describes two kinds of producers. He describes the one who's okay with losing a buck here and there, who's mostly just there to produce the art, and then there's the producer who is just trying to make a buck, who could be made or broken, with each play, and he's the latter. So
Mhm.
every production is stressful for him because he wants to make money,
It's like,
but if he puts too much in it could break him.
there's the cigarettes. Just
Yeah, it just
everybody's got one in their hand, just about.
absolutely. And if you don't, like, if you somehow forgot either your lighter or a cigarette, you could just go to your neighbor and say, hey, can I borrow your lighter and have one of your cigarettes? Like, it was just, everyone did it.
All the cool
Except
kids did it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Roman.
It's like your doctor does it. Like, it's good for you.
And Betty Davis, this is she's incredible in this movie. It's it's an overused word, but this actually is an iconic performance by her. Uh I have a hard time believing that someone actually beat her for best actress, though I've never seen the role of the woman who beat her. But hard to believe that happened. I mean, if someone had beat her, it would have been funny if it had been the lady who played Eve,
Yeah.
but because she was also nominated. But yeah, oddly enough, the person who beat her, I think, is easily the least remembered between those two, the woman in Sunset Boulevard, and herself.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, so they're about to give the last, the biggest award of the night, and we get
Mhm.
introduced to Eve here,
Well, would you
the
full blown see? I mean, I know
one
you can
whose
see Eve
name
from
is in the
afar,
title.
but okay, yeah, okay. I couldn't remember if they put a close up on her or not, but yeah, there she is.
Yeah, played by Annie Baxter.
Mm-hmm. And the way they present her, despite the way everyone's looking at her, they've clearly cast this woman who looks, very kind, almost kind of girl next door with a little bit of glam to her. She looks very nice and gracious. You know, you could easily mistake this look here, like kind of, because you can tell she's kind of tightened up here a little bit, like she's just nervous. It's a really well set up part for her because you're like, it's leaning you towards being sympathetic towards her
Right.
without knowing what's to come.
Yeah, like the whole beginning is just like, oh, this poor woman, like she's just down on her luck, and
Yeah.
she's just trying to make her way through the world.
Like, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not trying to nerf the audience or anything, but like I mean, this movie came from 1950. It's 70 some odd years old at this point. But it's almost a movie because, classics are easy to forget if you haven't seen them. It's almost a movie that I wouldn't want you to know about if you haven't seen it, because if you just let it hit you without a lot of foreknowledge, it kind of rocks you a bit. It's got
It does.
quite a few interesting plot twists to it that I honestly did not see coming that land perfectly.
So she's this lady's kind of the narrator of the show too.
It's one of them.
And
One of them,
and you
yeah.
can just like just just her still right there, like it conveys so much emotion. Like
Mhm.
you can feel what she's feeling in that moment. Like
Yeah.
most actors nowadays, they have to tell you what they're feeling.
And you don't quite know what it's about either.
Yeah,
Like
there's an excellent duality to it. There's the first time you watch it where you're like, "Is she happy? Is she sad?" It's she's clearly stirred by this, but in what way? So,
Right.
but it's not until you watch it the second time you're like, "Oh, okay," and you can make that connection to what she was actually feeling, and it's so good. It's so
Yeah.
good.
So it jumps back to when Eve first enters the picture,
mhm.
and she pulls up and is actually looking for her because she's
Mhm.
been at every uh, opening of
She's
the
been in every
play.
show
So every show.
of Margot. Margot is Betty Davis's character. She's in this play. It's called Aged in Wood, and she is at every single performance. And and I know in the setup they're saying that they notice her every time pretty much. She's become, and she at this particular point, Karen here noticed she wasn't there at first, so she kind of goes looking for her a bit.
Yeah, and she's kind of hiding in the shadows.
Hmm.
Which is not creepy at all.
No,
No, there's nothing wrong with that.
she's the biggest fan. Says they kind of, oh, I've been looking for you, and it's like, why don't you come in and meet your
Yeah,
hero.
there's a really interesting
So they
small kind. It comes off like very much like small. It's so delicately crafted dialogue. Uh, Like again, you appreciate so much when you rewatch it, knowing what's coming, and
yes.
she's just kind of like talking about how yeah, like Karen's asking her, it's like how do you come to all of these shows? Doesn't that get expensive? Because her first impression is that she just comes to see them arrive, and then when she's told, oh no, I go in and watch the show, they're like, isn't that expensive? She's like, well, standing room's not expensive, and she kind of takes pity on her a bit and says, "Okay, I'm going to introduce you to Margot." Because she thinks it's so sweet that she's such a big fan.
Yeah.
She should think it's creepy.
Well, I mean, you get the impression of this little circle of friends here. Herself, her husband, Margot, and Margot's beau is the director. That she's probably the most naive because she's the one who doesn't really participate in show business so much. She's simply the wife of the playwright.
Yeah.
Mm.
Right. Right. So she tells Eve to wait, and while she goes in and kind of breaks it.
Hello, darling.
And the quibs and dialogue back and forth is just incredible,
It's
phenomenal.
so good. Oh, and of course we got here on the far right here, we've got Birdie, who's just a delight. She's so good.
Yeah.
She's the
she's
down to earth,
no
world
nonsense.
weary, snappy, but completely awesome character who if any of y'all have watched Rear Window, she is also in that. Kind of
Yeah.
playing the same character, but a very different dynamic.
Yeah. And that's the
This is
playwright there on sitting down there in the middle.
like, yes, you're all beautiful, darling. Yes, darling. That's always the
And they're
vibe I
very
get
much
from like these types of movies
well,
and
and
shows.
the
Like,
way they talk to one another, and granted, it's an exaggerated version of probably a very true to life thing, because these are actors, these are people who are extremely famous, and there's a very clear detachment from the everyman. And like I said, they're playing it up. It's slightly exaggerated, but it's written so well. It's written so well.
Yeah, so they're
Because they're
talking
kind of
about
talking about how these people, it's like, oh, these people aren't fans. Like
they're
some of the stuff they're saying
coyotes.
is true. Some of the stuff they're saying is actually probably pretty true,
Yeah.
but there's a contempt there that if people could hear that behind the scenes, they'd probably really despise their acting
Yeah.
heroes.
Yeah. And she's like, well, I've got one right outside the door here. And she's like, oh, get rid of her. And she's like, no, you have to meet her. You probably have seen her because she's been at every play. And she's like,
She's like,
oh,
oh, you mean the
that
funny
one
one in
with
the
the
hat and the coat?
yeah.
it all
Did
started
someone
because of a
say it's the
Karen.
bee's knees in this scene? It feels like that. I don't remember if that line ever comes out.
It's all Karen's fault,
Hmm.
everybody. It's Karen.
There's a way in which they kind of she does sort of. They don't ever. That's one of the good things about some of these older movies. They don't flat out say what we suspect she feels, which is that she's the one who introduced this woman into their lives.
Yeah. Yeah. And Eve is all like,
It's
oh,
conveyed rather than outright
I
said.
thought you forgot about me. And she's, has this really little meek voice.
Hmm. But she's very direct at the same time, which takes some of them back a little bit. You know, it's like it's like she sounds poor but not unintelligent. Not she looks mousy, but she doesn't come off that way. She says precisely what she means to say, which you come to realize is part of her performance.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I still love like this scene of like we just said her name. Dang it. But the
Birdie.
older woman who's like, you
Oh,
can just
Birdie.
tell I don't trust this one.
Yeah, she's I mean, she's immediately gonna look like, that's interesting. I mean, there's this first little bit of wariness that she has of her. Just an, I mean, I would probably make this akin to like just natural distrust that she probably has with people in general. Like you kind of have to endear yourself, but then Eve starts to kind of tell her story here,
Yeah. I love
which
this too. Birdie's
initially,
like,
by the and well, and one thing to point out, Birdie has been sent away at this point,
yeah,
uh, though she's listening.
yeah, yeah. She says something every time you become the queen, and they kind of have a thing back and forth. And she's like, "Don't you have something to do in the bathroom?" It's like, "No, but I'll find something."
And then
So
Eve
they kind
begins
of,
to tell a a
Fancy
backstory.
hotel.
She
yes,
gets this.
Fancy
She gets to spin her backstory, and it's
so
it's quite the
sad.
heartwarming. I mean, and I love the way they play the music up, because you're being manipulated here. I mean, you're kind
You
of being
are.
manipulated here.
and
Not
And
even kind
even
of. You're
like how
fully
she's
being manipulated.
delivering this story, like it makes you want to believe. But if you're a
Mhm.
cynic like me, you're
it's
always
like,
going,
I mean, and really and truly,
hmm.
I mean, if it's your first watch, you have no reason not to believe her. You're just like,
Hmm.
right,
oh,
right,
okay. I mean, because like I said, that opening scene is probably already starting to fading from the memory of most people because they're, you're seeing something, but you don't know what you're seeing. And now you've got this, and you're like, okay, man, this must just be about how she rose up. And maybe they're just all bitter or something about how, maybe they're the bad
yeah,
guys. Because Betty
it,
Davis, I mean, you look at Betty Davis, you could easily look at her and say, she looks mean. There's something mean
yeah.
looking about her.
Hmm.
And to be fair, if you've seen her in anything else, she does kind of go for that role as the kind of
Oh,
mean.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
but yeah,
And
I love this part
this
too.
girl looks
Birdie,
very
she,
kind and sweet.
yeah.
She's very
Innocent.
pretty, but poor. You know.
Eve starts telling her story, and then Birdie pops back in and then interrupts. It's great.
Yeah, Birdie's my fave. Like, that's my girl.
And she begins to tell the rest, and several of them are brought to tears. And
And she's like,
granted, Birdie is.
she's a
Why are you
only
people? Roman's
child,
like, why are you
and
people ruining this movie for? I told you, Roman. This I don't encourage people to have this spoiled, but it's a 73-year-old movie. We got to talk about it.
Yep. Roman, it's your own fault.
Roman,
You were around
Roman,
when this was being filmed, so you
Come
have no
on.
yeah,
excuses.
you were probably filming it. If for all we
One of the
know.
camera crews, just in the back.
Don't mind me. I'm just fixing the light shade here.
Did your empire outlaw movies back then? The heck?
Yeah.
So
But
she's
yeah, she's
like,
telling her tale, and Birdie here is it's. I mean, I think what was so cool about her reaction to this is she's taken in a bit by it, but still skeptical when it's all said and done,
yeah,
and just has that fantastic line. It's like, wow, what a story! It's all it's missing is the dogs nipping at your heels at the end.
it was
Mhm.
nipping at your backside, she said, or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
And look at her. She's like, oh, that's a nice story.
Well, oh, that's
Mrs.
sad. Next,
Sassy.
Hey,
Miss
Miss Sassy,
Sassy.
how's it going?
And I was like, oh well, that's very sad, dear.
I'm gonna
Next.
go back in the bathroom.
Like you almost wonder if I mean, because sometimes like you'll watch something or like hear a piece of music for something you don't necessarily like. This happens a lot with movie trailers now. Well, they'll use really dramatic music that might cause some kind of involuntary reaction out of you. And you almost kind of have to remind yourself, it's like, no, I'm not going to be manipulated by this. What I'm watching here is garbage. It's kind
Yep.
of her reaction to her is almost kind of like that. Like she was almost involuntarily moved, but then it's just like, my years have taught me some things about women like this.
Yeah,
She's like, I don't
Mhm.
trust her.
and Betty Davis here is like, oh, you wouldn't know a real life story if it. It's like,
You.
okay.
She chides her for her
Yeah.
snarkiness, and she's basically saying some stories are you're not supposed to act that way towards. She's not being particularly delicate here.
So she's kind of like, I'm kind of apologizes here a little bit, but not
Yeah,
really.
because I mean,
It's
she's
kind
not
of a,
sure anything's wrong here, but she's like, okay, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. All right.
she smells fish,
Mm-hmm.
something fishy.
Yup.
So she's like, I'm gonna go back in the bathroom.
But I love that. I love that it's not. It's not. I think a lesser movie made in the modern day, they would make it to where almost like, oh no, she just knows. She knows she's bad, and I'm like, that's not realistic. Whereas
Yeah,
Birdie here, it's like, no, she's just mistrusting. It's like she's giving her the benefit of the doubt there before she leaves, but it's like she's like, I'm not gonna buy in just yet. It's
yeah.
a much more realistic wariness.
Hey, Millen. Yeah, and
Melon.
so this is you forget the character's name, but this is Betty Davis's husband in the show.
Oh yeah. Well, it's her boyfriend at the time. They don't get married till
Oh, that's right.
the
That's
end.
right.
But this is Bill.
Bill.
This is the director. I
Yes.
think his name's Bill Simpson. I think.
Yeah.
Yep. Bill
Yes,
Sampson.
and
Bill Sampson.
Samson. But
I've got a list of the names up because I'm gonna forget all of them.
And it's funny, they like really go after each other, chiding each other, but they love each other.
yeah,
If you know what I
and
mean.
and it's not lost on the movie the age difference between because you can look at these two and they're like, okay, there's a pretty obvious age difference, at least in terms of appearance. I don't know Gary Merrill's actual age, how it compares, though. I'm pretty sure he was about 6-7 years younger than Betty Davis, and they play up to that because it is obvious physically, uh, but
About
there's
10-year age gap, roughly.
okay.
Because Betty Davis was 1915 and he was, or Betty Davis was 1908 and he was 1950.
Yeah,
All
and
right, so 7 years.
Karen kind of
Nailed it.
introduces Eve to him, and he kind of, in passing, oh hello, whatever.
Yeah, his
Typical
reaction
man.
to her is very whatever.
Typical man.
And she's like, well, I should go. She's like, no, you stay. And so
I mean, they're immediately ready to
the
take her
character's
in.
name, the director's off to Hollywood
Mm-hmm.
doing something. I don't know what he's doing in Hollywood.
I think he's
Forget.
directing a movie.
Yeah, that's it. And she's like, no, you can stay. You can help me see him off at the airport. And it's really crazy how just trusting they are immediately.
Especially
Yeah,
like
I mean, they've taken it.
compared to this day and age where everyone's a skeptic and everyone's suspicious, like it is just completely mind blowing that people would be like this of you just trusted what she just said? No questions asked?
I mean, it
Okay.
wasn't all that long ago that people used to be this way. I'll tell you this much. My mother growing up would have taken this woman in, no questions asked, unfortunately. She
See,
would have been an easy target.
I was raised by my grandma who was a cynic and she would have been like, I don't know about this. She was
Good grandma.
she was like
good
a
grandma.
birdie. Like, I don't know about this because I was
But
raised by my grandma on.
if you've never dealt with a person like this, you, you're not going to see it.
And
If you know,
really and truly,
until
few
you're
people
burned by it.
few people have dealt with a person like this.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, granted, part of it is part of it could only be possible in a lifestyle such as this. But yeah, she's it's I mean, this wouldn't likely happen to someone who doesn't have much to have taken from them. This is kind of I mean, she's wanting something grand, so she's coming to people who have something big to offer.
Yeah.
that she can maybe take from.
In this conversation too, he's very kind of cynical about uh, stage acting a little bit,
Mhm.
and he's the director. He's like, "This is just a playhouse, this compared to movies," and it's kind of
And I think really this is the first scene with Eve where you get a hint about who she is, because there's no sense of impropriety with her being alone with someone else's man. She immediately is like leaning forward at him and addressing him. Like she's very pointedly is addressing him like she needs to get something out of him. It's
yeah,
very well crafted here. It's like it's not necessarily obvious it's not at all obvious the first time you watch it. It's just once you watch it again, you're like, It's like she's not at all nervous about this situation or nervous about being in the room with this guy. She's immediately probing at him.
yeah,
And he's just kind of I mean, I don't know if he's put off by her so much as just he doesn't I mean, he's just like, whatever, you're nobody, you
yeah.
know.
He's talking to just a person, it's not. But you can
And he's
see
got a
there's
line later in the
something
movie that kind of
more
explains
that
this,
she
but
wants. Yeah.
mhm.
So here they come. They're going off to the airport. And this too, she's like, here, let me take care. Let me check the bags in and everything, and I'll get your ticket, so y'all can have
Mhm.
some time together. And
Yeah,
it's
she's
crazy.
immediately
It's like
endearing herself through action.
Mm-hmm.
they're about to kiss here, and that's when she chooses to come back into the picture, and it's like, okay.
It's her first time, like, it's like she just can't it's like you might not even notice the first time, like, you might just think, "Oh, it was just bad timing," and then you watch it again, it's like, she's kinda come between them just there."
Yeah.
Isn't that something?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought this was interesting. No smoking beyond the gate.
Right.
There
So
were
it's like,
places
oh,
you
so they
weren't allowed to
they're
smoke?
allowed to smoke.
Oh my
I guess
gosh.
the cabin, if you're in the cabin of the, but don't they smoke? Don't they show them smoking in the cabin of the airplane at some point?
I think
Or
Well, I
early,
mean, planes you could smoke in.
yeah,
during this time, yeah, I think you could smoke it on a plane, but I don't remember.
Now you could
yeah, and
smoke on a plane
there's
not
no
all that
filters on
long
these
ago.
cigarettes.
Mm.
And he's telling her, it's like, "Hey, don't let her get too lonely and stuff." She's like, "Oh, I won't." You just see these interesting little flashes of who Eve might be.
It's like she's coming and she's starting to take over Birdie's role,
Mhm.
and she's like, I,
Bernie's
what's
about to
with you?
launch her out of this window, and I love it. I'm
Yeah,
here for it.
And Birdie's like, what are you touching my phone for?"
Like, what you doing touching my stuff?
Yo,
hey,
CLS.
CLS, what's up? So there's a play again, and what's her name's out, like watching the play from the outside,
Mhm.
and there's Betty Davis, and it's like she's studying everything.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. And I don't and the interesting thing here is that I think her emotion, like her reaction is real. It's just is she react it's like you don't realize that there's even a question here of what she's reacting to. Is it the performance or is it the reaction to the performance that she's reacting to?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
that's what she wants. But yeah, it's just it's This is just a
Yeah,
movie that
and
has such
every
excellent rewatch
if you
value.
if you notice every time she's people turn their back on her, she like, you know, like in the mirror here, making sure her hair is straight.
Yeah, she's very much checking on things, checking on herself. She's offering to take the dress uh
And that's, it's
back to
funny too.
costume.
Birdie here is saying that, I'm not I'm not part of any union here. And she's like, now the costume department people, they're in a union. And then Betty Davis realizes, oh wait, she took the dress. That's not going to be
Mm-hmm.
She's
good.
like, they've only got like two things to do. It's like,
Yeah,
uh-oh.
Yeah.
I've been in a union before. It's like, yeah, I can confirm this is true. There, it's like there's a very cult-like mentality to unions, and it's just like you don't do someone else's work for them.
and Eve is out here posing with the dress in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, oh,
She just kind of.
oh, I've been caught.
And
Now
what's
this
great
scene,
about
I'll be
these little
honest.
scenes is there's subtext, but then there's always kind of a two things could be true here, and you're not necessarily sure which. It's like she could just be doing it because it's like, oh, she has an innocent desire to want the glamorous life, or is she planning? So it's like, what is this
Yeah,
really? You
yeah.
know?
I'll be honest,
And
like this scene right here, I was like, if it was me and I was picking this dress, I would do the exact same thing. I ain't even going like there's no two cents about it. Like if there's a big stage. Oh, I wonder what it would be like if
yeah,
I could
right,
like I
right.
can't imagine anybody wouldn't do that in that situation.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
like
It's
I
it could be
wonder what
taken as
it's
very
like.
innocent.
Yeah,
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 it's
definitely.
it could be seen as a very innocent gesture. It's really Eve's reaction to being caught that makes you think, hmm.
That's
It's
weird.
like, I mean, if it were just an innocent gesture, she might just smile and be like, "Oh, I'm sorry. It's such a pretty dress." It's like, no, she reacts as though she's been caught doing something really bad. And
Yeah,
it's just
yeah,
like, that's interesting.
Yeah, the reaction was a little bit too much. The only thing, like, before knowing, like, the ending, like, my thought process was, well, she told them she was going to put it up and she failed to do that. So maybe she's thinking like, "Oh no, I've already messed up my shot of being helpful."
Yeah, it's like your mind doesn't necessarily think to go to a really like a bad place or anything. It's just it's something you notice. Like that's a almost a you know that reaction's a little odd. Why it's like why is she
yeah,
so upset? Hmm.
Hmm.
But
yeah.
then
So,
she gets this little midnight call.
yeah, kind of interesting. Margot. Okay, Margot. I've got the names pulled up now. So
Mhm.
Margot gets a phone call here, and it's like, is this such and such person and phone number? And she's like, yes. And, yeah, we're returning your phone call that you made earlier. And she's like, what? I didn't make a phone call earlier. And it is,
And she basically finds out that a midnight call has been arranged with her man, and she's like, she's just like, I didn't arrange this. What are you all talking about? But of course, you find out. I mean, this is the suspicion becomes very apparent quickly. It's like, oh, this was Eve who arranged this because it's his birthday.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, right.
And then he tells her that she's actually corresponded with him through letters often. She's like, hmm. She's like, that's interesting.
Hmm.
So she kind of forgot about his birthday, and she feels she's sorry. And
Well, I mean, I'm wondering if like it's not so much that I think she necessarily forgot his birthday. It's just she would probably have just told him when she woke up. You know, she would have called him then, and uh, the party thing. I'm pretty sure that was likely going to happen, but it's the midnight call that she's like, why was this arranged and done so without her telling me? What is this? Why is she writing to him? It's like it's very odd behavior right off the bat. It's like,
yeah, and Eve set up the party too. without her knowledge. It's strange. And this
Yeah.
is where she first starts thinking, what's going on here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because I mean, at minimum, it's just like this one's kind of overstepping some boundaries here. But she's not yet at a place where she wants to believe it's necessarily anything nefarious. She's just like, this is, I'm not sure how I feel about this. But then she has her little
And
conversation with Bertie about,
you know,
it's like, you don't
Margot
like her, do you?
and Birdie's like, are you trying to start a fight or do you want to answer? And she's like, I want to
Mm-hmm.
answer.
She's like, no. She's like, why? She's like, now you're looking for an argument. And I think there's a really great little exchange, which that was pointed out in that video you shared with me. Where she's like, she does, she thinks of nothing but me. And she's like, she thinks about you.
Yeah, yeah. And the subtle difference there of thinking of someone and thinking about someone. The
Hmm.
thinking about someone is a little nefarious.
Just something, just those little tiny
Yeah, yeah.
tweaks of the dialogue. Like, that's so good. That's just so good. It's just excellent dialogue construction there.
Yes, it is. Definitely. But
In a
yeah, not
movie just abound with great dialogue.
yeah. Yeah, Joseph L. Minkowitz is the writer or the
Hmm.
director of this. And
He's both.
both. Yeah, that's right. That's
Mhm.
right. But yeah, just great dialogue.
I'm curious what else he
Oh, and look who shows up.
worked on.
What now?
Like, well, Eve.
Fancy that. So, and yeah, she's also taking Margot's wardrobe. I mean, Margot gave it to her, but it's really strange that she's like coming in and taking her clothing. It's like she's slowly trying to take over. It's crazy.
Well, the impression I got was this was probably an outfit that she no longer cared about,
Yeah,
but because I mean, the more you watch the movie, the more you realize how Eve kind of gets her way is she makes someone think it's kind of their idea. And it's like, she
yeah, right.
probably uh like you can almost imagine the conversation like something kind of in the in a part of the closet that's rarely looked at. And she's like, "Oh, do you not wear this anymore?" Or, it's like, "Oh, I've never seen you in this." And that just kind of gets a conversation rolling and then makes her, she ends up giving it to her. Or it's just something that she could probably tell, oh, she probably used to fit into this, but not now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this too, she's like, Margot's like, says to Eve, "What? I got a phone call last night," and Eve is like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I forgot about it." And I love this, just this one little clip here, if I can get to it.
Cigarette in the morning, cigarette in the at the noon, cigarette in the evening. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
And then she's like, "As a matter of fact, I've been writing him regularly." It's like, okay,
Yeah, this is where you kind of
You
start to be
just
like, why would she
like
tell
this
her
that
that?
that frame, just that frame of her, like those eyes. She got the crazy eyes. She got
She's
the
got, yeah, it's
crazy
those
look.
yeah, yeah,
Cheshire cat looking eyes. I mean, just on her way. And you watch this the second time and you're like, okay, she's trying to just subtly say, I'm coming for you.
yeah,
And it's because it's like, this is where she starts to come between her and pretty much everyone. She's just sowing that little bit of subtle distrust, not enough to give herself away. It's like just enough to drive her up the wall, but also to where she's got a little bit of deniability. Because it's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
because when I listened to it the second time, her say that, I'm like, she has no reason to say that without trying to use it against her a little bit. It's like that's not something I would think you'd be all that comfortable just saying so brazenly. It's like, in
Yeah.
fact, I've been writing letters, and it's like,
Okay.
like, oh,
And
really?
this too, I love the look that Margot and Birdie share here. It's like, see, okay,
It's like, Birdie,
She's
I
like,
think you're
yeah,
right. We've got a psychopath in
we've got a
our
problem.
midst. We've got a psychopath.
it's like, get her,
Whoopsie.
Birdie.
Go get her. You got this, Birdie. I still I think from the moment Birdie sees her, she wants to just yeet her out of a window. And I love it so much. Like, if she was given the okay, she would literally yank that little girl and just toss her.
Toss her out
she's
the
she's kind of the guard dog. She's kind of the guard
Mhm.
dog of the group. It's like she's not necessarily in on the conversations, but she's there to. I mean, she protects that little circle there, and
Yeah,
it's like you gotta. It's like you'd have to work hard to earn her trust. And it's like she
Yeah,
never
yeah.
gets her trust.
Mm-mm.
Thanks for dropping by, Whitey. You
See
safe
ya,
travels
Whitey.
there. Yeah, and too, the clothing, and not just the women's clothing, but everybody's clothing in it is really cool. They're classy, and even Birdie.
Yeah, nobody dresses up for parties like this.
No.
That has that
Mm.
doesn't
T-shirt
have
and
money.
shorts. I'm good to go. No.
Yeah.
I mean, what can I say? I just don't like dresses. They just feel too exposed.
I mean, we don't have their means. I mean, for us, we'd be like, who spends all this on this and this and this? We've got more practical lives. And oh yeah, in that scene before, she was telling her that that Bill already arrived, and she hasn't heard it yet. And then she's like, I wonder why. And sure enough, she goes down, and oh, it's because
Yeah.
Eve ran into him. Yeah, at this point, she's just like, okay, this
And she's
this
like,
giant B word is all she's
I'm gonna
infringing on my territory.
start talking down to her. And she's like, go check why the hors d'oeuvres aren't here yet.
It's like, let's just get her out of the room.
Yeah.
But yeah, at this
The-
point, she's already like, okay, something's up with this chick.
See, if it was me, I'd be honest. I'd be like, she's out. Like, I don't want to see her ever again. Like, bye-bye.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy to say. I mean, granted, for us, it'd be this very different. This is an easy one for us because, like I said, we're not likely in a position where this is something we'd have to worry about. But you've taken this girl in, you don't know that you know, and it's like it's throwing a person out on the street. It's everyone who doesn't know why you're doing it, who would object to it. It's like there's a lot. It's complicated. It's a tough thing to get through. I think it's easier for us to say we would do it because we figure most people would probably be on our side. Like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And we'd be like, yeah, I agree. What is this? We have that world weariness you spoke of, to where it's like we wouldn't trust people like this to begin with.
Yeah. This. So they have a fight here about Eve, and it's like, so it's like she's gotten jealous before. Margot's gotten jealous before like this. So it's like that's all this is. She's just getting jealous of this little innocent girl here. So
Who's
they have a
been
big
nothing
old
but nice,
fight
nothing
about
but
it.
kind. Been all good, all giving. Just like, what is this?
What up, Zax?
Hey there,
Zax!
Zax.
Yo!
How's it going?
What up?
And what's cool, what I like about this dialogue is this, it's an argument, but it's not necessarily a fully overblown one. There's a little bit of there's uncertainty from her, and he's trying to reassure her. She's she's just kind of taken aback at what's going on. And she's like, she's just starting to lean. And like, this is kind of what I was saying with Birdie earlier. It's not an immediate, I know what's going on. She's now just put her in a state of real uncertainty, and it's freaking her out a bit.
I
Now,
I,
granted, it's
I
like
love
we know she's right, but
yeah, yeah. I love this
very
little
good,
candy dish.
realistic setting.
When
Uh,
Eve first leaves the room, Margot goes over to this candy dish and opens it and then puts it back. Like, no, I don't need it. And now she's mad and she goes and gets one and eats it. Oh, that's the first part right there. She like,
mhm.
I'm gonna eat one of the no. And then he
Well, she's
says
because
something
part of
and
her
she's like,
character, she's got kind of this obsession about her age because she's starting. She kind of knows she's probably on the downside of her career, given her age, that she's playing roles that younger women could take on, and she's dating. She's with a man who's several years younger than she is, who will, in her words, who will look the same way in 10, 20 years. So
yeah.
not reaching for that candy is probably her thinking about her figure, and then she's just like, "Oh, screw it, I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm
Yeah.
mad.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
And
mad, and I need candy."
all these pressures on her too,
Yeah.
this younger woman coming for her man, and she's like, "Oh, it's here.
Well,
The
and there's probably the
orders are
added
here."
stress of she's only starting to think this, so there's probably just the added stress of, "What if I'm wrong about this?" It's like, so there's probably just that added little bit of guilt, which, that's good manipulation on the part of Eve. That's
Yeah.
calculated.
Mm-hmm.
I was just gonna say about the furs that everybody's wearing. It's cold outside. I mean, it's. I think it's winter, isn't it? Or close
Yes,
to
It's
I
it.
think
either
so.
that or like late fall.
But she's like in a
And it's New
short
York,
sleeve
so
underneath it.
Mm.
But wool fur coats are very, very warm.
Mm-hmm.
oh, yeah.
I've seen one guy wearing a fur coat, and it was like he fit in the coat though. It was like he looked like a mountain man or something, but it was like wolf skin fur. It's crazy.
I mean, if you're not gonna be outside for very long, then it's probably not
Yeah,
a super big deal, like, wearing something short sleeved underneath, in order to look good. I'll just bear it for a couple of seconds. But I mean, it's, probably not horrible out or anything, but I know it's because I know they have that drive not too long after this, and it's definitely winter. So I can't remember exactly how long it is between that and this, but you figure it's got to be cold.
yeah, yeah.
Watch it, CLS. It's phenomenal.
Yes, very good.
If you're not
That
certain,
that goes
be
for everybody
certain.
in the chat. Watch this movie. I mean, what we're
Absolutely,
talking
because
about, the dialogue and everything is pales in comparison to what it's like. So you gotta watch this movie. It's great.
it's peak screenwriting.
Yeah. And Margot's just chugging down the
The
martinis.
martinis.
And I love before she comes downstairs, it's like they're having a discussion about the alcohol, and she's like, "They don't care as long as it burns going down. It's fine." And I love
But
this is
yeah.
like famous part right
Yeah,
here.
well, yeah, they
It's like,
ask her, it's like, are we at the end of this, or is it just getting started? And then, of course, she gives the famous line from the film, "We didn't hear it." I don't think they can hear it, but it says, "Fasten your seatbelts, it's going to be a bumpy night."
yes, yes. Sorry, I always forget to share. Uh, poo. But that line there's like, "Here's looking at you, kid." I mean, it's that famous of a line there.
Yeah, it's the iconic line for this. It's the line you've almost certainly heard even if you don't know where it came from.
And
And
there's
then
Marilyn Monroe
young
there.
Marilyn Monroe. I don't recall.
Yup.
Was this her first movie?
I don't
Or
think
had
it
she
was
done
her
anything
first, but
else?
she was relatively unknown at this point. She was an up
Mhm.
and coming, I think.
Yeah.
Which, funny enough, she plays. And it's
Yeah.
and I was saying this earlier, it's interesting how this little role here kind of parallels her journey.
Right. And
Trying to see how
yeah,
early in her filmography
just
this
a second
was.
here. And Addison DeWitt.
Best character.
And he's like works for the paper and he's a critic.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I don't know you, but I know of you. But this is the kind of guy. I mean, he's a newspaper man. I mean, he's a critic and is in the newspaper. He's got people that look up people for him. So he's probably already has people out, looking this woman up to see who she is and everything.
Are you talking about
So
how he's looking into Eve?
yes, Eve. Yes.
I mean, at this point, I'm not sure if he has or hasn't because I don't know if he's really taken much of an interest in her because he hasn't really spoken to her at this point. But it's probably that he's simply. I think this is probably the place where he takes the interest because it's like he's probably just made kind of a mental note of, okay, there's this person living with them. That's interesting. Wonder what that's about.
I love
Yeah.
Marilyn's like, look, she's just like, what the hell is going on? Like, what's going on?
Well, there's some very clear allusions to what it
And
was
he's
to quote unquote please the producer. Uh,
Yep.
the little allude to
he's like,
go.
there's the
Does he
producer.
always
Go please. And
go make him
go ahead.
happy? And it's just like, that's not so innocent.
And she's like, why do they always look like an unhappy rabbit?
Because he is an unhappy rabbit. Now go make him happy. It's like, oh
Yep.
no, that there is Harvey.
Yes, Harvey.
And now he gets to
And
meet Eve.
yeah, they share a look again. Eve and Birdie, or not Eve, Margot and Birdie,
Mm-hmm.
and this martini. What? It's a full glass, full martini. She's like, oh, just drinks it all down.
I can't remember like
And
what's get
then
said before that, but I know there she said, "Amen."
yeah, so Birdie after she's had a few martinis, Birdie brings her some coffee or something. It's like, no,
This is a
oh,
great
thank you.
part.
She just
Where
takes
she
the
just puts the olive in it. She just dumps the olive into the tea or coffee or whatever it is.
Right.
Just a little jet. She's like, here, just there, take that.
I
go
just
Get it out.
can't. I just can't anymore. I'm done.
Me and
and
Martini are
she's
not
like,
finished yet.
yeah. And she's had this guy play this song 4 times in a row,
Hmm.
and it's like a melancholy, sad music.
Yeah, at this point,
And he's
Bill is trying to like, some of the guests are asking us like, can we play something a little more upbeat? And she's like, well, when you're at
yeah, and
my
he
house, and
comes
it's
up,
like, you're the guest.
"Do you have any bicarbonate of soda?" It's like, "Yes, the whole thing of it."
It's like, and we will put your name on it.
'Tis yours, dear.
It's like, I love you, Max. I mean it. I love you.
So she's talks with him and says, You should hire Eve for your, for your, uh, office." trying to
Yeah,
get
just
rid of
trying to
her.
get her out of the house.
Yeah.
I don't want her here anymore. Please take her away.
Well, and she could just, you know, make her leave the house, make the
But then she would
the
look bad.
playhouse. Yeah,
Hmm.
then she would look bad.
Oh,
She'd
you
get too
just
much
let
resistance for that.
this poor innocent girl, you just threw her on the streets for no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't. I mean, and it probably doesn't help that you've got, Mr. Journalist there who could very easily make something of that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something you got to think at when you're in the public eye. You have to think about things differently. You can't just fly off the handle and
Yep.
Yeah, even your
Because
own
yeah,
now there are
kindnesses can
people
be
who are
used
paying
against you.
attention.
yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Like if I
Everything
mean,
you
You have to
say
I mean,
be
can
just think
and
if
will
you
be
became,
used.
yeah, like say if you became a constant, like say you started donating regularly to a specific cause, and then you were suspicious that maybe it wasn't on the up and up, and you stopped donating, and people are like, "Why aren't you donating them anymore? Why'd you quit being charitable?" It's like that. Even that could get turned against you. It's like you don't want to necessarily say why because you're not sure, but it's like, ugh. There's a lot of little things that it's could come back and bite you that you may
Yeah,
Yep.
not
yeah.
suspect.
And yeah, they have a little conversation that her husband's got a new play coming out. Karen's husband has a new play he's working on, and Eve here wants to audition for it.
Well, she wants to be her understudy. I think
Yeah,
is
yeah. So they're
well, I
like,
think it's not, and it's not even an understudy for that new play. She hasn't worked her way to that yet. I think she's just wanting to be the understudy of the current play that she's in
oh,
because
okay,
she's like,
okay.
I already know all the lines and all the stuff, because she's like, well, I've seen it so many times, but she's like, oh yeah, I'll talk to him definitely, no problem. Makes her think that it's her idea.
Yeah,
But then she kind of she's very insistent on remembering. It's like, you will remember to tell him, won't you? You will
yeah,
remember,
right.
right? It's like, oh, all right,
Oh,
dry
I
up
love this
there.
part. See if I can get this seat. It's so good. Eve goes to leave, and then she just and Birdie just walks in and just completely ignores. It's so good.
Birdie's probably just always thinking, what's she done now?
Right. Like, I have to
Like,
deal with
and
this
you
little
feel bad for Birdie because
urchin.
like it's like if you think it's hard for Eve to for Margot to convey her feelings, it's much harder for Birdie. She could be fired and could be,
Mhm.
it's like she's looked at very differently than the rest of them.
Yeah.
So she's like, I'll be dismissed. It's like I don't give my opinion unless someone's gonna ask for it. It's just once you do, I'll tell you. But
She's
yeah,
still
here they're
flirting
having
with
their
this fella here. Like, oh,
so yeah, basically
like give me a drink.
her and the writer here are, DeWitt and her, I guess, kind of have a relationship, but I think, she seems to have an understanding that this is a relationship mostly of just benefit for her. I
Yeah,
mean, and they both seem
right.
to mutually understand that.
Hey, Teresa.
Hello, Ms. Martin Muses.
Hello.
And she's just sitting back observing.
When she's, like they're talking about all the different things that go into, I guess, being a star and whatnot, and she's just imagining it with all the, as just this perfect thing that she just so desperately wants.
Yeah.
Like you're just this is one of those very revealing moments
It's like
that
she's like
they're
it's
not
like
quite as keen on knowing what she means by it, but
right, right. And she's like, and it's just their love of the audience overwhelms you. And it's like, oh,
Ugh.
okay. I can see how, you know, being an actor and people's adoration gets addicting.
oh yeah.
It's like I would not want to be that. No. Ugh.
I mean, it's one thing to enjoy appreciation, for an art form or something you create. I mean, that's fine. That's very normal. That's very natural. But it's for her, it's simply the fame and the adoration. It's like she's very willing to do the work, but it's like it's not necessarily the work and the art that she loves first. It's like
Right,
that's the means to get the adoration. That's
Mhm.
just the
right.
how.
Yeah, and this is when Margot, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yes, Margot finally confronts Eve, and it's like she's like, "Would you stop treating me like a queen?" And immediately, her boyfriend kind of stands up for Eve. It's like, what?
Which is always the right move, boys.
Yeah, and she really does play a good drunk.
Oh, she's fantastic.
And
I love yeah,
DeWitt is
DeWitt
there
is
just
great here because he's
enjoying it.
yeah, DeWitt is loving every bit of this little drama here because he's pretty open about his general contempt for humanity, but he definitely loves the art. Like that's kind of the difference between him and Eve is uh he doesn't, criticize art because it's a means to his own benefit. It's like no, he actually genuinely loves it. It's just people he has contempt for. But watching a drama like this and people fall apart, he's like, "Oh, this is interesting. This is a show. I like this."
Yeah, and so everybody thinks that, oh, she's just jealous, she's drunk, and so she goes to bed here, and she's like, she says to her, what's his name there? Uh, sorry, gotta
What,
check
Bill?
his name again. Bill, like, we who are about to die salute you. And he's like, do you need any help?
Hello, Barbara.
Hello.
Hey, Barbara, glad you could make it. And
I
Eve
hope
is
you've been
acting
able to see
all,
this movie.
oh, Eve is acting
Yeah, she's
hurt. And
acting hurt, and kind of she always is apologetic, acting as though, "Oh, it's my fault. Oh, it's my fault. It must be
Ah.
something I did." Just never,
yeah,
never quite. It's like she makes you feel sorry for her through a false humility and meekness, and taking all that. But there's always an angle. There's just always the angle. And of course, right as she walks away, she's like, "You will remember, right?" to tell him.
hey, Adam Gray.
Um, you have good taste, Barbara. This is an amazing film.
Yes. So this is the next morning, and
The Devil's Disciple. I like
yeah.
that one. It's like that. I saw that and I was like, yes, indeed.
So they have a little conversation, and he says that she's late, and somebody filled in for her. and she's trying to guess who was filling in, and she says her understart, or what's she called? What's she called?
It's the understudy.
Understudy, and she's referring
Have you
to
never acted,
Marilyn.
Jacob?
Mar- I played a wise man. Okay, when I was a kid, I played a wise man, and she's referring to Marilyn Monroe's character, and he
Mhm.
says, "Well, she's been in the bathroom puking her guts out all, and she missed it." And then she finds out Eve did the stand-in.
Basically, that she's been her understudy for a week, and she's like, "What?"
Like, what?
It's like she had no idea this, and there's the back and forth between them is just it's so good because it's just one they're they're doing the thing where they speak in polite terms, but in reality they are cutting each other down. It's all
Yeah,
just about
Mm-hmm.
cussing
who
each
gets
other
in
out.
that last good jab.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and they
This is
both
just
hate
pitch
each
perfect
other.
verbal sparring.
Yeah.
Basically saying, "Oh, well, he finally got to hear his dialogue, as he always wanted to hear it," because, she's playing a character
How it's
that in
written.
reality is significantly younger than she is.
Yeah. And he's just enjoying himself.
Yup.
So, and we do kind of learn that Marilyn Monroe is pregnant here. Her character. It's like, oh,
Mhm.
I wonder how that
yes.
happened.
Yeah.
And
I
she's
wonder
like, "Well,
whose it
what's
is.
next?" And he goes, "TV, I think." It's like, "Do they have auditions for TV?" It's like, "It's almost nothing but
It's,
auditions."
Mm-hmm. What up, Shield Wall?
hey, Shield Wall, what's up going on, man? I like this part. She walks in and just.
Oh, well, yeah, I love that. Just slings her coat, it rubs right on it. It's like, "Ooh." Like, "We'll fire to that."
She's like, oh. And he's like, oh, she's not in a good mood. And he signals everybody on stage, like, oh, she's here.
Yeah, I like how she plays this like she has no idea what's been happening the whole time.
Yeah. I love it. She just starts tearing into him.
Well, she just she kind of slowly works her way around to making them tell her everything that's going on, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh well, it's like, well, you're late. It's like, okay, well then who read? And she's just slowly letting that information trickle, and it's like, just I mean, she hasn't let on that she knows. I mean, it's not necessarily a big secret. She's just kind of working her way to it, like like she's forcing a confession out of them.
Mm-hmm. It's like you all are about to see what I see, and I'm gonna force you to see it. You can't look away now.
That's okay. That's okay, Shilma. What now?
Ooh.
Shilma? You got Michael Cara on the show. Nice.
Sarah, surely you've heard that joke about me.
No, I have not.
Are you serious?
What?
That's like the
No.
longest running joke. It's been going since the first time I was ever on Cannoli's channel. We
Oh,
were literally doing Scott Pilgrim last night.
no. Okay. I haven't seen that movie, so I don't get the joke. I'll have to
All
watch
right,
that
we're kicking Jacob off his show.
movie.
Ouch.
I mean, they're not these movies are totally unrelated, but that's.
Just absolutely. Oh no! Did he leave us?
No,
Is
I'm
it just
back.
me?
Only
I'm back.
briefly.
Only briefly.
Y'all kicked me out for a minute.
Oh no!
There we go.
And she slowly starts to back out of the room. It's like,
Hmm.
I'm out of here. And he's like, I'm gonna lay down. I don't care.
Yeah, he's more just like, okay, I've dealt with all this before.
Yeah.
He's just kind of wary and defeated by it, and they're having their argument. It's like, if you don't want me to be in this part, then that's fine. But of course, there's contractual obligations and whatnot.
Yo, Copa. What up?
Koopa.
What up, Copa?
And he leaves
Shield
too.
Wall, never seen this. Shield Wall, you need to see it.
What?
Otherwise, you're watching us
Shield Wall.
spoil the heck out of one of the best movies
Right?
of all time.
I mean, it's like 70-something years, so like
It's
Maybe I should start
73.
putting spoilers on these older movies that nobody's seen.
maybe.
I mean, we're kind of doing that as we go.
Yes, yes. And they're just there. I have to say, she's really good about getting nasty.
Oh yeah, she's just phenomenal in this movie.
Yes, yes.
Like this is, and it's funny is as much as Hollywood ruins female characters so often these days. It's like this is a movie showing a woman in a certain capacity at her worst. She's not in her worst in the sense, she is right, but she's behaving in a way that is perceived at being her worst, and it's just like, no, she's very right here, and they've justified her anger. It's just nobody else around her sees it,
Yeah.
but she adds that good old fashioned nastiness to it that it's like, ooh, it's so good. It's so good. I don't know if there's a writer in Hollywood that could hope to write something this good.
He's being very patient here. And then it's just, no, I've had enough.
Well,
Like, you be
this
quiet.
is kind of where he brings it to, Fisher, that's what's that saying, Fisher cut bait. He's just like, look, I've told you every which way I want to marry you. And he's like, but, if that's not where this is going, then as far as I'm concerned, that should be that.
Yeah. And he leaves.
This would freak out the Me Too crowd that he pinned her down to the bed like that.
Oh, no.
When in reality, most of them would be like, that's exactly what I like.
Yeah, she asks where he's going, and she's like, to Eve. And it's like, yeah, okay. He just leaves.
Because at first he's like, it's unbelievable. He goes, this is unbelievable. This wouldn't even be believable in a play or something like that. And then she's like, who are you going to Eve? And he's like, well, now you've made it believable. It's like, gosh.
And he's like, I've had it. She's like, oh, Margot again? Yeah. And she's like, well, that'll be a fun trip. We're all going to be in the same car tomorrow with each other.
She's
That's
like,
the
he's
best
like, oh,
idea
that's
ever.
fine. We've spent weekends not talking.
Mhm.
But then this is where she gets a little idea here. Not such a great idea.
What's up, Agent? What's going on, man?
What's up, abomination? What?
He's like, okay, I'm going to do it. So she formulates a plan.
Yes, her plan is basically to, in her mind, put Margot in her place a bit and delay her to her next performance to where Eve has to play the part. And I guess it's kind of her way of hoping that it's like, see, there's nothing to worry about. She played your part. It's no big deal. It's nothing. But of course she doesn't realize that what she has done is a great betrayal.
Yeah. And they run out of gas. Because Karen got rid of some of their gas.
Probably drove around too much, or I mean, those cars back then, they couldn't get that much, that much gas mileage.
Yeah, yeah. So Margot apologizes to Karen here, and Karen feels bad, and it's like she's about to tell her that I siphoned the gas out, and doesn't.
Yeah, because she realizes, like, oh, I might have done a really bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And by the way, to anyone who is just now coming and who hasn't seen this movie, we're not calling her Karen like an insult. That's her actual name.
Yeah, that's right.
Not everyone whose actual name is Karen is a Karen.
No.
Just like not everyone who has a half-shaved undercut is a Wokey. I specifically have this haircut so I can blend in and then like I'm gonna infiltrate from the inside. The plan.
Yeah, the shield wall. It's like, yeah, gas was 33 cents a gallon back then.
Bro,
23
like
cents.
All
my
you had to
grandma
do was
used to
put some quarters in, and then boom, gas.
Gas.
right? My grandma used to tell me when she was younger, gas stations used to have gas wars to see who could get to the lowest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bro.
Hashtag bring back the gas wars.
Yes, bring back the gas wars.
Yes, definitely. So yeah, DeWitt here kind of overhears this conversation here, and he's like,
and this is where all the pretense, this is where the facade is pretty much just dropped here, because then you're like, okay,
yeah,
now.
right. So he's talking to her like if you work hard, you'll do good and be a good actress. And she's like, is that what you want me to be? So she's major flirting with him right now.
It's like I said, she has a very specific kind of directness. It's heavy flirting, and then it's just outright stated. she's not exactly coy.
Right. And he basically tells her, I love Margot. And
I think he says, he's like, look, I'm as curious as the next guy and everything goes, but I don't like that thing to pursue me. So he's basically just saying he's very put off by that. It's like, so you kind of get the sense that his impression of her, the way he's viewed her, is that,
shifts a
okay,
little
yeah,
bit.
she's fine, she's innocent and everything, but that's the part of her he probably never liked, is that she's, she kind of is that direct about how she pursues things.
Right.
Now he's completely like, okay, I see this now.
Yeah, it shifts a little bit for him, his opinion of her. And gets mad.
Yeah, because she kind of let the facade drop and didn't exactly work out the way she wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, she mad.
Like, this wench is crazy. And he's like, oh, just my type.
Oh my god.
So he witnessed
almost
the
looks
whole
like the
thing.
penguin there.
He
almost looks
witnessed
like
the
the
facade.
penguin.
Yeah, he does. He does. So he witnesses the facade drop there. And then it's raised back up as soon as he enters the room.
Mm-hmm.
And that's their little beneficial relationship begins here.
Yeah.
He basically starts telling her that, if this is what you want, I can help you get it.
You're muted, Jacob. Am I muted?
No, I muted myself.
Okay, I was like, did my headphones go out? Is it me?
I thought my headphones went out too.
Sorry about that.
Jacob, the heck?
I was like, did my web browser crash again? Oh no.
So he interviews her here.
And
Well,
again, just
they
and you,
actually
I mean,
go to
they
dinner.
there's a brief
And
flash of that just a second, but there's that little evil expression she has. It's like there's it's
yeah,
just the
yeah,
physical acting in this is just so good.
right there. Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh. Mando.
Now Mando's gone. Everyone's
No.
dropping out. What the heck?
So he sees right through her too here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he knows
What
what he's dealing
what
with.
happened?
I
Did the
spoke it into
raccoons come? Did
existence,
the
and it happened because I was like, did my web browser go out? And I was like, oh no, yep, there it went.
oh, there it went. The raccoons are busy.
The raccoons are busy.
Oh yes, yes. Hang on, just one
That should
second.
be one of the fur
1
coats that
second.
get worn. Just pure raccoon.
Yeah, raccoon coat.
Absolutely.
Man, this popcorn is so good. Oh, it's Pizza Man.
Yes. So DeWitt, this is, I think DeWitt, since he's kind of the same makeup as Eve, in
Mhm.
scheming and things, he kind of sees, oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean he's not dishonest about what he's like. Yeah, we can help each other out. No, why not? Might as
Yeah.
well. I can help you get what you want. You're giving me something I want. Why not? She just thinks she's gonna be able to manipulate him too. She's not quite in on what he's doing, but anyways, I don't even think he's trying to hide it. I think he's either realizes over time or knows of me. It's like she may think she's manipulating me, but she's mistaken.
Oh, yes, she doesn't
Yeah.
know the
Yeah.
game. She thinks she knows the game, but I made the
Mhm.
game.
Yes.
Do not
So
recite the deep magic to me, witch. I was there.
I
when
was
it
there
written.
when it was written.
I love this. I've heard this mentioned in several movies now, and 2 of them were Hitchcocks. So Karen is going to meet Margot at 21, which is a schwanky restaurant.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, I wanted to point this out here. So Eve is there and he's there. And this painting in the background looks just like him.
A little bit.
Did y'all notice
A little
that?
bit.
Smidgy smidge. Like I said, he was there when the magic was written, so it makes
Yes.
sense.
I mean, even the blonde woman in the painting beside him kind of looks like Karen.
Yeah, a little bit.
Mhm.
You know what's
He's
funny is I forgot
she's
to
like,
even point out there's a shot early on in the film, which is very easy to miss. Like it's right at the beginning when she first gets handed the award and they freeze frame it. If you look at her hands where they freeze frame it, there's a gun hanging on the wall, and it's like her hands are grabbing for it.
oh,
But it's pointed right
Mhm.
back at her. It's pointed right back at her,
Mhm.
and it's like,
yeah.
that's interesting.
That's that can't be a coincidence.
No.
I don't believe
But yes, sir.
so.
Karen says she's supposed to meet Margot here, and DeWitt says, "Oh, you might not be meeting her here," and hands her the newspaper, and she reads his article, and it's like,
Hmm.
oh. So she reads it and leaves to go see Margot because it's not a good review.
No, it's what do they say? His pen is dipped in poison.
Yeah,
It is quite unkind to her.
yeah, really nasty.
And some of the quotes that come
So she,
directly from Eve, it's like they're not necessarily all that kind either.
no, actually, kind of nasty.
Hmm.
So she wrinkles up the paper and throws it in the fireplace.
I think she missed
Where
the
it
fire though.
Yeah, it kind
I
of
think
looks.
she might have missed the fire.
But she's like, I'm not picking it up. And Bill comes. He's read it and knows exactly what's happened, and he's like, "I'm sorry," pretty much.
Yeah, it's like he's still, and this is actually a very nice scene that this happens and then he comes back to her and he holds her and everything. It's like, okay, that's good. And you can tell it's like Karen's more starting to see the part she played in this, and it's just like, you know, the guilt is starting to weigh heavily and heavily on her, but now it's like she sees this and she's like, okay, this, at least this much is good.
Well, that's good. They're back together.
Oh.
So she goes home, and her husband is like, "Oh, DeWitt made her say all those things because Eve has been talking to him."
Mm-hmm.
It's like he immediately believes this is a spin, but he's kind of, this is his new star, and he's like, he's got some bit of loyalty to her still. It's pretty much the
Yeah.
last one to see what she is.
Yeah. She's like, "What? You want her to be the role cast as the leading in your next play?"
It's like, yeah, you
So
can
they
get the
kind of have
sense that she's had one of those conversations where, and I mean, he pretty much confirms this with how he presents it, that she basically made him think that it was his idea, not hers. But of course, it's her idea.
Sup, Jay? Yes. Then the phone rings. It's like, "What?
Ba-ding, ba-ding,
Oh,
ba-ding,
okay. It's
ba-ding.
you."
What do you want? Oh, okay, fine. Jeez.
Do they want to meet or something, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Bill
Yeah.
and so they go out to eat dinner
Yeah, this is where they're yeah. Margot and Bill have they wanted to meet at the Cub.
at the club.
At the club called Cub.
And he gives a toast, and they're getting married. Yay.
Yay! They finally
Finally.
decided to marry. It's all very sweet, very nice. And it is I mean, it's a very good thing. It's like, okay, good. They're getting married. You're happy for her. It's
And
among the better
this
parts.
is really
I even like how they reveal it.
yeah. And I thought this was a really good part with Margot, right?
Mm-hmm.
That she's like,
Yeah, and this is where they get the note.
I've got something to live other than acting to live for, and she's gonna go be
Well,
his
no, she
wife.
hasn't gotten to that part yet. She hasn't
Oh,
gotten
not
there
yet?
yet.
Okay.
No, that's after Karen finds out what
Right. Okay.
what the note is about, why Eve wants to meet with her.
So Eve sends Karen a note to meet her in the powder room. And they're all like, and she's like, "I'm not gonna go." And they're like, "Oh, we want to see what's going on here." And Margot's like, picks up the empty champagne bottle. Maybe I should go find her.
And in the audience, you're like, yes, do that. Go find her with the empty bottle. That would be a great moment.
Oh, there's what's his name? It's like, "Oh, hello."
Just do it. Just do it. Do it.
Yeah, this is good. She's like, "I'm gonna ignore you." It's like, "Oh, okay."
He's like, that's just fine. And
He's
he
like
raises his
toasts at him.
glass and she raises like a breadstick and just
Yeah.
eats it at him. And she goes to meet Eve.
she tries to play her first, and it does kind of work. But then she just drops the curtain and is like, "You're going to do this for me because I know about what you did to make Margot late for the play." And she wants Eve wants Karen to tell her husband that Eve wants the role in his new play. It's like, and you're like, you really see now how nasty this person is.
It's like, yeah, this is where the facade is completely gone. Where you see
Right.
just what Eve is willing to do to get her way. That she is just horribly evil.
Yeah.
She's terrible.
Mhm.
Like, this is where her schemes are all coming to light. You're like, oh my gosh. Like, this isn't just someone who was kind of ambitious and maybe let it get to her head. It's like, no, she's been doing this the whole time.
Nope, she's been playing everybody the whole time. And then she starts trying to play DeWitt here.
And you can tell poor Karen here is pretty
So,
shaken by it.
what happened here? Did I over? No, I didn't. So yeah, this is where
Yeah,
she
this is where she
kind of turns the corner. It's like, I've got, you know, more to live for than just acting. And
yeah, she
so
ends up
she's,
suggesting just give
kind
the
of
part to
stepping back
Eve.
from roles and stuff. Yeah, and Karen's like,
This is
"What?"
pretty much where she just
And
says,
then
"Go
she
ahead and give it
starts
to Eve. That's fine."
hysterically laughing.
And she's like, "Oh,
Everybody's like,
wasn't that
"What's wrong with
funny?"
you? I think you've had a little too much to drink."
Oh, there's a little brief part where she's laughing hysterically, and she quickly grabs her glass and pulls it
So
away
then
from her.
the
Like, that's pretty funny.
what now?
You brought up that you kind of jokingly said, "Oh, she's
Can
drunk,"
y'all
and it's
hear
like,
me?
"Oh, actually, yeah." Margot takes, uh, she actually kind of snatches Karen's drink away from her off the table. She's like, "I
Yeah, right,
think you've had enough
right.
of these."
Yeah. So then, I mean, everything that Eve does, it's like causing fights between friends, and he storms off, and then she comes back. So they're working on the new play, So
She's very calculated. She's very much about sowing division.
yeah, yeah.
What's the saying? Divide and conquer.
So yeah, she gets a phone call from, I guess, the house that Eve lives in. Somebody across the way is like, "Oh, she's been, upset a lot lately, and
And you get the
she's
sense
trying to
almost like
get,
this woman's become her version of
yeah."
Birdie almost. Because she's doing her dirty work here. I can see him like, oh, Eve needs you. I'm worried about her. And it's like, oh, okay, what's going on? And it's like, oh,
And
it's
she's
really
she's
nothing.
wanting she's wanting Lloyd to come over, which is
Mm-hmm.
this guy here, and it works.
Yep, she's wanting to seduce him.
Yeah. And it's like she turns the corner. It's like, "I got him. He's coming." It's like, "Oh,
I would have
wait, did she
loved to have
just
known who this chick is. It's like, why would you do
yeah,
this?
did she look, she flashed a no-no sign."
Uh-oh.
Oh my god, that's a gang sign.
I
No.
know.
Well, actually, if you look at that part of the screen, it's PW, so I don't know what that stands for.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I thought this was weird. All these shots they've gotten have been real, on location shots, it looks like.
Mhm.
But this scene is like, they're walking and there's a screen behind them.
Yeah,
It's
this is
just
the one.
very
This
so.
is the one part where it's like, okay, there's a background screen here. It's the one part.
But it's not bad. I mean, that's what they did back then.
Yeah, the streets
But
might have
you
been too
don't
busy to film on that
you
day.
don't see very many shots like this of walking. Most of this is done like with in a car or something. Yeah, this part is good too. He's like, "Oh, you're a killer." He's like, "Why'd you call me a killer?" Oh, my boxing terms. I get them mixed up.
I meant champion.
And this is good too. His curtain drops here. He's like, "I know all
Well, at
about
least
you."
he's more pulling back hers, and knowing it's like,
Yeah.
you're not fooling me, sweetheart. She starts to tell him how. And great. What's interesting about this part is clearly this is a fabricated version of the previous night's events.
Right.
But you got to figure there are aspects of it that are probably true. It's just a question of how much.
Right. And she's like, he came to my house banging on the door. I love you. I'm leaving Karen. It's like,
It's like, did he now?
really? Oh, and look at that. There you go. Look at that wicked little look there. And he's like, well, you can't do that. Sorry. You're mine now.
It's like, yeah, he's like, maybe you haven't realized this yet, but you belong to me.
She tries to get him to leave. He doesn't leave. Tries to call the police. And then she runs to her room. Oh.
Oh no, the woman is in danger and fainting.
Yeah, it's like everything she's worked towards, like that. It's like this one thing she didn't foresee, that there was
Yeah.
somebody who had just a bit more power than she did.
Never try to play a player.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, you overplayed your hand. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you belong to me, right? Yes.
And it's the kind of thing that, this gets over. This is another. Excuse me. This is a statement that gets overused that, oh, they couldn't make this today. This really is something they wouldn't do today. They wouldn't end a movie with a man exerting ownership over a woman that way, and it being very real. There's no way they would do that. It's like this is a very, it's an incredibly satisfying comeuppance that she gets. Oh, look, that shot. See, there is the gun right there.
Mm-hmm.
Kept it there too.
Pointing at her.
But yeah, it's like it's a very satisfying comeuppance, but it's one that's pretty dark and uncomfortable too.
Yeah, it is.
But at the same time, you're like, yeah, but if anyone deserves it.
And she's like, in her speech, she's thanking everyone that's helped her, that she's used to get where she is. And they're like, yeah. So now you get what the look was.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mixture of sadness and anger.
Yeah, a
is
bit of
what I got.
regret,
Yeah.
It's just
Mhm.
Yeah.
contempt. It's just like this chick.
She's like, "Ew." Yeah, and funny, there's a part in it where Birdie just leaves and you never see her again.
Yep. Which is sad.
We miss
Yeah.
Birdie.
She was
Hopefully
my gal.
she joined the union and, is the
Yeah, we'll definitely never see her again then.
Yup.
Oh no.
and they all have these disgusted looks on their face. Like,
He's having to literally sit up at the same table as her because he's the director of the play. And he's just like, ugh.
yeah.
Like, I hate my association with this woman.
Mhm.
Oh. And then there was a bright flash. Hey,
Okay, well, that's
Weather warning?
this is clearly a test of the emergency broadcast system.
Like what?
Have they invaded?
They've invaded. Oh no.
Are the aliens finally here?
I don't have much brain power, I'm sorry.
it was a raccoon alert. It was a
Wow.
raccoon alert.
Very nice.
Raccoons have crossed the perimeter.
You must take them out. Gundar calls for aid.
Let me get my Gatling gun. Brrr. This is like kind of sad for some of them.
She has a part of her speech where she says something about how, she's going to Hollywood to make a movie, but her heart will be with the theater. And Margot
Yeah.
tells her, you can place the award where your heart should be.
Yeah, right.
Which is that's an old-fashioned way of shove it up your backside.
Mm-hmm. Stuff it.
So Eve goes home and walks in and turns around, and there's some strange woman in her apartment. It's like, it's
Why
your
does
biggest
this never happen to
fan.
me?
It's her biggest fan.
Mm-hmm. I still
Like,
don't
please
understand
don't-
how she's her biggest fan when she's just barely started her career, though.
Yeah,
You know?
right.
Well,
I think it's
I
just
mean,
showing
well,
the
you get the sense she's been doing this play for a little while now. I mean, you're not going to win that level of an
Right.
award after just one performance. So she's this, because it's the new play. So
Yeah,
some time
yeah.
has at
I
least passed at this point. So
see, like sometimes I forget that, like, oh yeah, time passes faster in movies and stuff than it does in real life.
Yeah,
Whoopsie
right.
daisy.
unless there's a countdown in the movie, then it lasts forever.
yeah. But yeah, this is Phoebe here.
Yeah, I'm Phoebe.
And
It's
creepy
like,
Phoebe.
yeah. And this
And-
does show Hollywood. This is Hollywood. Other people
And
come
he's
up and-
immediately like he hands her the award, and she's just like got this. I mean, she literally is holding it like a baby,
yeah.
and he's like,
He's
"Would you
like,
like one
"Oh,
of
the
those
next-"
someday?" And she's like, "Oh, more than anything." And he's like, "Oh, talk to her. She'll tell you how to get it." He's like, "Oh, I know." He's like, "Well, I'm already living with one. I know what you are.
yeah.
Maybe we'll be dating here soon." He's gonna need a pimp cane eventually.
Yeah. He does. He has a cane. Did you see it earlier? And he's got a little cane.
Yeah, that's right. He does.
And she puts on the thing. It's like, oh. Oh.
Just all
What
the
goes around
reflections of
comes
her
around.
Mm-hmm. And
There it
that's
is.
the end of the movie. It's so good.
Wonderful.
It's so good.
Very good. So, thoughts on this movie? What were your thoughts on this movie, Gourd?
I mean, this is a
Hello.
masterpiece. It's a very I mean, it's a 10 out of 10. I mean, what what can be said other than that? I mean, it's a screenplay that is about as close to perfection as it gets. It has one of the most deliciously evil female villains ever put to screen. I mean, seriously,
Mm-hmm.
this
Yes.
is that reveal of what Eve is. It's just like, oh gosh, this woman. I mean, it's like you go from sympathetic to uncertain to just outright just hatred towards her, and she earns every bit of it. It is such a great
Yeah.
nuanced
Yeah.
performance from her and everyone in the cast. I mean, it's a phenomenal film. It's a fun. Everyone should see it and then watch it again because it's a great film that has rewatchability.
Yeah. Definitely.
Is Dying Nia perfect?
Yes.
Yes.
Mando.
I give it like a
what did you think?
9.5 to 10. Like I thought it was. I like that twist at the end. Like if you know what to look for, you get the little sprinkles like something suspicious, but you don't know exactly what it is. I think that a lot more movies could stand to do something similar.
Mhm.
Yes, definitely. And in watching this movie, I was thinking, no movies are like this today. I mean, there's
Not
no
really, no.
subtlety to anything. They tell you everything. There's no subtlety
Like you
to it
don't
at
get a
all.
chance to actually guess. Like, is there a real villain in this? Because some people were led to believe like maybe Margot's the actual villain. Maybe she's the bad guy.
Yeah,
And
which
then
is
just do
what
that
you kind of think in the
slow.
beginning of it, like
Yeah,
especially when
but they
she
slowly
goes
trickle that
off.
information. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, she has the look of a kind of a femme fatale, maybe a little bit of an older femme fatale, but like one that you're just like, oh, she
Mhm.
looks kind of mean, and
She could be
uh,
the evil queen after Snow White. Like evil
yeah,
queen wanted to get rid of the fairest of them all. Like very
yeah,
easily plot point there.
mm-hmm.
yep, yeah.
Then they flipped it.
Yes, they flipped it. Ah.
Yeah,
So
this is a excellent film, so good,
yes, very very good film. Highly recommended. Go find a place
absolutely.
to
It's
watch
a
it.
must watch. I would call this an
Absolutely,
absolute must
absolutely.
watch. This should be on everybody's list, whether you are a cinephile or just a filthy casual. You should watch All About
Go-
Eve.
right, right. Yes. Well, guys, this has been a great discussion on this great movie.
Yes,
Uh,
it has indeed.
anybody need? Yes. Anybody got anything they want to plug? Gord?
Well, first I'll shout out to Vex Electronica, whose most recent video put her over 5,000 subs and is absolutely blowing up right now. Last I checked, it was at 65,000 views. So, Vex, if you're out there, congrats! And she still got her
Yeah,
just a
congratulations.
fundraiser going to help with the legal fees. She was very unjustly targeted by Justin Trudeau's government.
By the
Mhm.
So to Hades with them. Um, but I mean, as
because
for
of the
myself,
Fauci outage.
yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm yeah,
Yes.
CLS.
And
There's not really a
I
whole lot I can do about my streams until my internet service provider fixes their own nonsense. But you know, here's hoping they will soon. I've been kind of periodically
yeah,
checking on the upload speeds and that kind of stuff.
uh,
But yeah,
I don't know if somebody wants to put that in the chat. If I don't know, puts
what
the link for to help Vex out
Oh, let me.
in the chat.
yeah, if someone can find it, or I might be able to track it down. I'm not sure.
I'm very active on Twitter.
But as for my
I'm
own
sorry,
work,
Gord,
oh no, you're fine. You're fine. That's way more important. But okay, yeah, I think I've got it here. The link to her fundraiser,
Dang it, I just
which,
found it.
by the way, is at $735 raised so far. So that's
wow,
good
great.
news.
That's great. Yes, help
but for
help
my own work,
Vex
I'm
help help Vex
Yeah,
become an
yeah,
American
absolutely.
citizen.
Exactly. Vex it. Hashtag Vex it. Yeah, for my own work, I'm working on a Rings of Power episode 2 video right now. I've
Oh,
got
oh,
something I'm
oh.
yeah, it's so exciting. Um, but I kind
Yes,
of
a
just casually started
show that
writing
makes
something else
you
today. I might do another video right before it. We'll
yes,
see.
a show that makes you wanna turn into a wraith.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. Yeah, it's it's I was almost gonna say it's certainly a show, but I don't even know if I'm able to quite say that. It exists. It
Yes.
exists. I can confirm it's real, but not spectacular.
Thanks, Gordon Dempsey, for that link. Mando, what do you got? What do you got coming up?
I will be on Roman of the Empire's channel this Thursday, and we're talking about planes, trains, and the car. Why can I never planes, trains, and
Planes,
automobiles or
trains?
something?
Yes, yes.
It's
Planes,
a
trains,
movie.
and automobiles?
Yes.
Oh my.
Oh my. So
Are
I'll be
they
doing that
electric
Thursday.
vehicles?
I'm not sure. I haven't actually seen the movie, so I will be watching the movie pretty
You
soon.
haven't
Oh, you
seen that
haven't seen
movie?
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, really? Well, you'll
Nope.
enjoy it.
Oh,
It's really funny.
you will enjoy it. It
Very
is.
nice. And
It's
then
a Thanksgiving
this
movie.
oh, wonderful. My birthday is coming up. So actually this Saturday on my Kick channel, I will be doing a combined birthday stream with my friend Roto Kamish. And hopefully we're trying to get me a sub goal of 75 so I can become monetized on Kick. So yeah, and
Awesome.
Nice.
I
Awesome.
promise I'll be doing more uploads on my YouTube channel. Just life is just kind of taking me by the neck and just wrung me.
Yeah,
So
understandable.
I will attempt to get more content out on my YouTube channel as soon as possible. So and then Monday night, we will be doing my a kick stream again where I play Dungeons and Dragons with my friends and we're pirates and somehow the ship has
Arg.
not burned down yet.
That's
I
good.
don't know
So
how.
many ands going on. You've got planes, trains, and automobiles, and dungeons and dragons. Just a whole full plate.
Pirates and rum and oh my.
Oh my rum. Yes, I love rum. So yeah, that's kind of what I got going on right now.
And well, happy
Yay.
birthday. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, my actual birthday is this next Monday, the 20th. I'll be 31.
Wow. You're a youngin'.
You are young.
Yup. I don't know why people don't like to tell their age. Like I've never had an issue with it. Like my 30s have
I
been
don't
the
mind
best years
telling
of
my
my life
age,
so
but
far.
I don't mind telling people my age, but so many people don't believe me when I tell it because they think, oh, he sounds like a kid. He sounds like he's like literally somebody commented on my Rings of Power, or no, on my Ghostbusters video. They didn't like it and they called me a kid, and I just started laughing. I was like, they think I'm a kid. I'm 40.
It's just you have a higher pitched voice than what they expect.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's fine.
Yes.
I get
It's
called a
fine.
guy a lot there because, like, well, one,
What?
I'm sick right now, but my voice, like, if most people, if they for some reason when they just hear my voice, they think I'm a dude. Don't know why. Yes, Dempsey, that is absolutely true, and I own it. I am still a youngin.
Yes, I am almost 40. I just turned 37. So 3 more years and I'll be 40.
I told Jacob that he can, for the rest of the year, post the meme. I'm 37. I'm not old.
Mhm.
Yes, absolutely.
Monty Python, Holy Grail. If you haven't seen it, what's wrong with you? My gosh.
'Tis a flesh wound.
Yes,
'Tis a flesh
that is a great movie in its own right.
It's the
The
greatest
Knights
comedy
of
as
the
far
Holy
as I'm
Grail.
concerned.
The Holy Hand Grenade.
The holy hand grenade.
And the evil white rabbit.
Oh, that thing was vicious.
It was like Eve in rodent form.
Yes.
And what is the wing speed of a unladen sparrow?
Swallow.
A
What
swallow.
do you mean, an
Swallow. I was like-
African or a European?
I don't know that.
I couldn't remember the line for a second. I was like, wait.
You're talking to someone who knows lines too well. If I love a movie, I know lines pretty well.
Very nice.
Yes.
That's one of
Very
them.
nice. Well, guys, thanks for coming on. It was great. Had a good time. Thanks for the chat
Yeah.
for hanging with us. Great.
Thank you, chat.
Yes.
You guys
thank
are awesome.
You guys
chat.
were wonderful.
Wonderful.
Very. Well, y'all have a good night, and we'll see y'all. Oh, wait.
Wait.
I will also be on Roman's show Thursday night. And then Saturday night, I'm doing a favorite Thanksgiving movies. And then I will be taking a break for Thanksgiving. And then the 38th, I am going to be going over Shadow of a Doubt, Alfred Hitchcock.
Nice.
So keep a lookout for that. And we'll everybody have a good one, and we'll see y'all next time. Later, y'all.
All right. See y'all later, everyone.
Bye.
Oh.